Good evening and welcome to the 2021 CSU Computer Science Game Development Showcase. Today we are celebrating all the effort and creative work that was done over the semester by computer science students at NC State who are in the game development concentration, as well as students who took the interdisciplinary computer um, computational media visual narrative projects class. We are fortunate to have collaboration this year across institutions with the UNC School of the Arts uh, program, where Professor Wilson Wade and his sound design students participated in the development of the projects. Um, the Advanced Game Projects class is a capstone course that computer science game development students take as part of their degree program, and they develop over the semester original games that they start with by designing, development, and polishing through to release. And today you will see their efforts through the semester. This class is sponsored by Red Storm Entertainment. It's great to have such amazing game industry presence in the area, and um, in particular, Stuart, Aaron, and Clark, who are at Red Storm, gave us a lot of their time to give feedback to students on their projects, and particularly in relation to how to place themselves for their future careers, and giving us wonderful insight about industry in the area and beyond. So we are grateful to them and to the UNC School of the Arts. Um, the other course is an interdisciplinary projects course that is run by the Visual Narrative Cluster here at NC State. This is called the Visual Narrative Projects class. In this class, students learn how to develop a number of different types of games and interactive media. This semester, we developed projects that were based on visual theming of pinball and pachinko machines. Um, and we will see some examples of how students themed these projects. The other type of projects that we will see are non-interactive machinima movies. And machinima is basically animation that is done on a real-time game engine. Students go through the filmmaking process here, start with a script, an idea, write the script, produce the animations in the Unity game engine, and then edit the final movie. And this time we have a couple of really exciting creative movies as part of the Machinima projects. This semester, as another project, this class also developed Endless Runners. So Endless Runners is a popular genre of games, and students this time um, thought about designing interesting themes for Endless Runners. So without further ado, I will start the showcase. Thank you so much for attending and encouraging our students, and wishing them well. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the 2021 CSU Computer Science Game Development Showcase. Today we are celebrating all the effort and creative work that was done over the semester by computer science students at NC State who are in the game development concentration. Good evening and welcome
What are we doing here, Jimmy? It's just a hoax. This is really stupid even for you.
It is not just a hoax. You've heard all the stories too, Dustin. People have witnessed real things here.
Exactly, stories. Just stories. They aren't real.
Wait, whoa, hold up. What exactly have you guys heard? I've only heard really bad things. Like, really scary things.
Well, they don't call this place the Devil's Tramping Ground for nothing.
Then why on earth would you ever want to camp here?
To prove that the stories are true. They say this place is the Devil's Tramping Ground. He stomps and he clomps around these grounds every night. That's why nothing grows here. All plants die. Animals don't even dare go near this place. I've heard dogs will bark and snarl at the ground and refuse to walk here. And yeah, don't even think about leaving anything here. The devil steals anything left on the grounds. Things will mysteriously disappear by morning, and they are never seen again.
Yeah, right. Those stories are just made up by a bunch of crazies.
Are not.
Well, I think we've seen enough. The ground sure looks dead and trampled. There are no animals around, not even a squirrel. Are you satisfied now, Jimmy? Can we please just go home now?
Oh, come on, Mike. It's an adventure. We can say we spent a night camping at the Devil's Tramping Ground. Isn't that cool?
More like Satan's prancing ground, honestly. This just sounds like an excuse for deforestation. You think I'm going to believe the devil comes here just to square dance every night and pick up souvenirs?
Shh! Don't say that. You'll see. If we stay here longer, I'm sure.
Chess Labyrinth is a fantasy action puzzle game inspired by the classic game of chess.
Imagine if you're dropped into the land of Kusari. Sinu and Moru, two warring kingdoms, have been fighting over this land for over a millennium to no avail. Now they need to come up with a new strategy. That's where you come in. As a member of one of these kingdoms, you will be given the high-profile task of assassinating the king of the opposing kingdom. This will not be a task for the faint of heart, though. For one, the kingdom is composed of a labyrinth-like format that you must use your wits and determination to navigate. Furthermore, there will be dangerous enemies that are prepared to fight you to the death. However, do not be disheartened, young warrior. Using the gold you collect throughout your journey, you can upgrade your armor and weapons and become a legend throughout Kusari. One such way to acquire gold would be to solve puzzles, rigorous tests of the mind that will surely assess not only your intellect.
Chess Labyrinth is a fantasy action puzzle game inspired by the classic game of chess.
Imagine if you're dropped into the land of Kusari. Sinu and Moru, two warring kingdoms, have been fighting over this land for over a millennium to no avail. Now they need to come up with a new strategy. That's where you come in. As a member of one of these kingdoms, you will be given the high-profile task of assassinating the king of the opposing kingdom. This will not be a task for the faint of heart, though. For one, the kingdom is composed of a labyrinth-like format that you must use your wits and determination to navigate. Furthermore, there will be dangerous enemies that are prepared to fight you to the death. However, do not be disheartened, young warrior. Using the gold you collect throughout your journey, you can upgrade your armor and weapons and become a legend throughout Kusari. One such way to acquire gold would be to solve puzzles, rigorous tests of the mind that will surely assess not only your intellect, but also your power of will. Gold will also be dropped from your slain enemies and can be found throughout the kingdom's twists and turns. Try moving through the maze quickly by dodging and avoiding enemies, or be resourceful and stop to solve puzzles for gold. Your strategy for tackling this journey is up to you. Are you ready to begin your mission as a top-secret agent of the king?
As a new player, you'll be presented with several options for beginning a gameplay session. These options include a tutorial, a simple but fun level for teaching players the basic mechanics of a game. There's also a single-player session, a much longer and challenging journey throughout the land of Kusari. This level will include 2 unique zones depending on which kingdom you're aligned with. It will also contain randomly spawned maze walls, puzzles, and towns to trade with merchants. Finally, there are multiplayer options to host or join a lobby. The multiplayer version of the game will take place on the same maze as the single-player game. However, it will be more challenging in the sense that you'll be racing against another player to kill the opposing player's king before they kill yours.
Originally, we intended for our game to have a much more in-depth RPG style, with a variety of weapon choices, enemies, and player characters. The player would be able to buy items from a town blacksmith and upgrade their gear as they went along the maze to become stronger alongside the enemies as they go deeper into the maze. Aside from stats, character classes were planned for the game, which would provide different play styles and abilities. For example, player knights would have no problem dispatching enemy pawns, but player pawns would have superior stealth kills that allowed them to avoid lengthy combat altogether. We wanted the game to be mostly centered around the procedurally generated maze, adding replayability and constantly giving the player new areas to explore. We intended for there to be some sort of way for players to use stealth mechanics. Players that did high-profile actions such as killing enemies indiscreetly would result in the player's identity being discovered sooner, alerting the opposing team's security, and causing the player to be unable to sneak past enemies or trade with merchants. Over time, we realized that many of these ideas would be put out of scope, considering the time frame. During this process, we refined the scope of our design to exclude unnecessary elements of the game. We limited ourselves to 3 NPC types, a merchant, doctor, and an enemy knight. Similarly, the player is only able to play as a knight. We also limited the player and enemy knights to use only a sword. This weapon can still be upgraded by merchants throughout the game, improving its stats and the overall capability of the player. We shifted some of the focus from the maze to minigame puzzles. We realized that the maze might become monotonous on its own, so we included a fun and rewarding way to allow the player to cut through the maze and earn extra gold while adding gameplay variation. Given enough time, we would have been able to implement all these fun ideas and polish them out even more. However, our game has a number of mechanics which feed into each other and provide the player an engaging experience. And now a lot of that legwork is done to implement the full game in the future.
Now as for challenges, our original design consisted of much more ambitious goals around the board. It revolved around RPG progression mechanics and a class system involving different stats and abilities that the characters could use to help traverse the maze. As we made our way through the semester, we saw how large our initial vision was. As such, we had to make multiple compromises on features while also maintaining a balance that would give the player a satisfactory experience. We also experienced multiple interruptions in our overall workflow due to our inexperience using Git extensively in Unity. We would encounter merge conflicts due to our team size, and Unity scenes having their binaries change upon editing. Our lack of experience in Unity also led us down a few pitfalls in poor development practices, which added to our work overhead and lost us progress a couple of times. We also faced some performance issues as the scale of the game increased and we were using more and more complex textures and terrain for aesthetic purposes. This had the negative consequence of making playtesting and sometimes compiling scripts and making it build less efficient. Lastly, when making our final configurations of the game and starting the addition of controller support, we realized that some aspects of the game relied heavily upon the mouse and keyboard setup, which resulted in us redesigning overall controls integration in our system late in development.
Please join me in congratulating the students in this class that are graduating. And thank you all for attending. We will see you next year with another set of amazing games. Have a great evening and weekend. Bye. Please join me in congratulating the students in this class that are graduating. And thank you all for attending. We will see you next year with another set of amazing games. Have a great evening and weekend. Bye.